Hi everyone, my name is Gina and welcome to GLT. So before I start saying anything, I want you all to pause this video and open the Rubric file. So it should have been sent to you in the email. Okay, now that you guys have the Rubric in front of you, I'm going to explain a little bit more about how to get an excellent presentation for your 10-minute talk. Now, I know if I received this as an email, I would find it kind of boring to have to read through all of these words, and it's quite overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff there to read. So I'm here to work through that and explain to you guys a little bit more about what that means. So there are three main things that you need to look out for, as you can see on the paper. There's non-verbal skills, verbal skills, and content. So these are the three areas that you should pay attention to when you're preparing your talk. Now, I will start with the non-verbal skills. So the very first one, there are 3 points in the non-verbal skills, and the first one is audience engagement and body language. So like I'm doing now, using gestures or having open body language rather than closed off and looking down at the floor, that's very important, so that the audience knows that you want to be here and that you're open and other people will look at you and want to listen to what you're saying. And also, you should be looking at the camera and at the screen. You don't have to look at the camera the entire time, but don't just read off on your notes the entire time, and lift your head up so that people can see your face. That would be good. And so the second point out of non-verbal skills is visual aids. Now, normally, if you're presenting this live in front of an audience in person, you would normally have a PowerPoint presentation behind you, but since we're doing this online, it's going to be a little bit different. So you could have anything you want to do. You can be creative. For example, you could have pieces of paper. So these are the three different main areas you should focus on. If you remember, the non-verbal skills and verbal skills, and then there was the content. So I'm talking about visual aids at the moment, so you could use different papers like these with pictures to show to the camera as different visual aids. Now, a bad example of visual aids would be if I'd printed off the entire rubric and showed it to the camera. There are too many words on this page, and it's so tiny you can't read it. And also, it's boring. Nobody wants to look at a piece of page with a bunch of words on it. But you could also have a whiteboard, for example. That's a good example of visual aids. You could draw behind you, or you could show your phone. You could have an image on your phone if you wanted to show it, or anything that you wanted to do is just be creative with it. One time we had somebody with some rocks. They were demonstrating something with rocks. Or you could have different papers that you flip back like a flip book. Anything is fine. So that is visual aids. And the last point in non-verbal skills is the timing. So your talk, if you want it to be excellent, should be well-paced and timed. Now, the time that you're aiming for is 10 minutes, but if you get 10 minutes and 5 seconds, 10 minutes and 10 seconds, it's not too much of a big deal. It doesn't need to be exactly 10 minutes on the dot, but we will stop you if you go up to 12 minutes because we have lots of people to go through. And you do want it to ideally be around 10 minutes. So a good presentation is between 9 and 11 minutes, and an average presentation between 8 and 12 minutes. So you should really be aiming for just 10 minutes. So I would recommend you practice your talk and time it with a timer next to you so you can see how long it is, and if you need to cut any content or add it in. So those were the three non-verbal skills. And now we're going to be moving on to verbal skills. Right, so we're doing a talk, so obviously verbal skills are going to be very important because you're talking. And so there are two main points in verbal skills. There's enthusiasm, which is the first one, and speech and elocution. So enthusiasm, you need to show that you're interested about your subject. You can't just speak in a monotone voice and act like you're not really interested in what you're saying. No, you need to be able to show other people that you're enthusiastic about what you're talking about. You don't need to be over the top, but you shouldn't keep your voice boring and monotone. And the next point is speech and elocution. So elocution is like diction, how clear your words are. It's not necessarily about pronunciation, so don't worry if English is not your first language. It's all about clarity and how clear your voice is and how easy it is for other people to understand. For example, if I was speaking really quietly, it wouldn't be a very good talk. It wouldn't be able to have good elocution, good diction. But if I was mumbling or having my paper in front of my mouth while I'm looking at my notes, if I'm looking away from the camera so that you can't hear me, all of those things you need to be aware of. And also projection. You want people to be able to hear you. Yes, people can turn up their volume, but it's best for you to be able to practice projecting your voice as if you're doing it in real life. So that is it for the verbal skills. You want enthusiasm and speech, so your clarity of your voice. And another thing to bear in mind linked with the timing from the non-verbal skills is you don't want to speak too fast and make it so fast that you're trying to cram everything into one go, but you don't want to speak so slowly that it becomes boring. So keep that in mind as well. The last section is content. So of course it would be great if you're presenting it really amazingly and your timing is perfect and you've got lots of visual aids and enthusiasm, but if what you're saying doesn't have any meaning in it, then that's not going to be a very good talk. So you do need to have good content in your talk. So there are 2 points in there, as you can see from the rubric, subject knowledge and reflection, and organisation. So the first one, in subject knowledge and reflection, you want to have Bible verses to back up what you're saying. So not just your opinion, but also things that are actually in the Bible, within the framework of the Bible, because this is a Christian talk. And another thing is, if you're going to be putting facts into your talk, you want them to be from real sources. Don't just assume things or make facts up or statistics up, obviously. And also, you should include some storytelling elements. So whether it's a personal story or maybe a story from a book that you heard or something that's relevant to it, because people love stories. It's very engaging. You want people to listen and be like, wow, I want to know what happens next. It's very important to add something like a story that will help engage your audience, right? So when you're doing a talk, the reason why we have all this rubric is because you don't want your audience to fall asleep. You actually want your audience to listen. These are all things to help the audience, right? So storytelling is a great way to help the audience to keep track with what you're saying, and it's just really interesting and fun to add to your talk. And the last one is organisation in the content. So you need to have an introduction that grips people in. So people are interested in thinking, oh wow, what are you going to talk about? And then you should have the body of your content, obviously, and then the conclusion where you talk about the main key points of what you've said and you tie it all back together to what your talk is actually about. And throughout the talk, you should have signposting so that people know the direction your talk is headed in, and all of your content should be in a logical way. People can follow what you're saying and understand where you're going. So for example, if I was doing this talk and I was talking about an example of bad visual aids, and then suddenly I skipped forwards to saying, oh, and also you should have good clarity, you should have good diction. Those two things, they're not connected. It just sort of jumps around from place to place. So it's important to have good organisation. And yeah, so that was it for the things in the rubric. So to go over it again, ending, conclusion, organization. You need to have non-verbal skills. You need to think about this while you're preparing and while you're talking. And then you need verbal skills. So this is while you're speaking, you need to have your verbal skills. And then the content, which is particularly while you're preparing. So have a look at the rubric again. Everything that I've said is all from the rubric, so you can have a look at that again. I would recommend reading to see, what's the difference between the good and the average. You should be aiming for excellent. You guys are all amazing people, amazing speakers. You can do this. And yeah, so just a few little tips as well that I would give. Relax, right? It's easy to say, just relax, don't stress. But just have a drink of water before you do your thing. And relax your body as well. Like, shake off your shoulders, have a little stretch, make sure that you're not tense because that can come across in your talk. And also pretend that you're talking to a live audience. So this one is going to be just a video that you upload, but your real talk, after you've had the feedback, is going to be live. So pretend that you're talking in front of a live audience. You can ask the audience questions, use the audience as a prop. It's good to engage the audience, help them, make it feel interactive, not like you're just talking to a wall. And yeah, don't take several cuts of your video, don't take several clips and edit it together when you're uploading this one. Upload it as one video, please. That would be great. And yeah, so finally, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this talk? Oh, it's just homework. Actually, yes, it is homework, and it is useful for school or work and things like that. But most importantly, the reason why we're doing this talk is, as Christians, we should be good communicators, right? We have an important message that we need to carry to other people. But if our communication or our presentation of that message is really boring and bad, people won't really want to listen to you. So we do need to practice and get good at talking to other people and presenting our ideas and making an engaging style of communication. So that is your main goal that you should have in mind while you're preparing this. So yeah, that is the end of my talk. If you need any help with any of these, with either uploading it to YouTube or with understanding what's on the rubric, or just you're stuck and you want some ideas, feel free to contact us. Contact the email that all these emails are being sent to, and I'll try and help with anything that I can. So good luck with your talks, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you all in GLT. So yeah, bye.